Jim Green. I'm a gunsmith. I have a shop called Gunworks in down East Main, Harrington. Today's rifle we're going to disassemble and discuss is a 7400 Remington Carbine. These rifles come in different calibers. They seem to be a pretty popular firearm for deer hunting. They're semi-automatic. This is going to cover the model 74, 740, 742, and 7400s, and the new Remington 750s, which are just now coming out. So let's take this to the bench. As with any other gun, before you start your disassembly, you want to make sure that the gun is empty and safe. So you make sure the magazine is out of the rifle, and you'll cock the action back, look in the chamber, make sure everything's good to go. First thing you'll want to do is remove the front handguard. The way you do that is with the handguard screw out. Take the screw out, and you got your little cap and your spacer. And work the handguard forward and off. Or the handguard forestock. Okay. Next thing I like to do is get rid of the trigger assembly out of these guns. You do that by driving two little pins out. Take those pins and set them off to the side. Pull down on the handguard and slide it forward and very carefully work it out. Now, what I'm going to discuss with you here is your trigger assembly. I'm going to recommend that for cleaning, this is about all you're going to do with this gun. These videos are not designed to have you be a gunsmith. So, what you want to do is to clean this, make sure the safety's off, put your thumb over the end of the hammer and pull the trigger and release it. Let it rotate forward. If you've got a lot of dirt and trash inside, spray some kind of degreaser in there and use some compressed air to blow that out. I'm going to tell you now, if you start taking this stuff apart without certain types of tools, you're going to find yourself in a little bit of trouble. So we'll just set this off to the side and leave it as it is. Next part of it, if you come up here to the front, you'll notice a little roll pin here. We're going to drive that roll pin out. Set your roll pin off to the side. What I like to do is pull back just a little bit with my thumb here. And you'll slide this little retainer back and off and get it out of the way. Pull just a little bit down right here on this little guide rod and remove this. Now, there's spring tension right here from the recoil spring. So when you're removing the guide rod, if you don't cover that with your hand, you may end up hitting yourself in the face with a spring. Don't want that to happen, so just cover this part, pull your guide rod out, set it off to the side. Then very carefully remove the recoil spring. And once you get to this point here, the next step you want to take, the little dust cover, there's a notch right here in the top of it above the charging handle or the cocking handle. I'll turn this around so you can see it. Slide your bolt carrier and stuff back until you see a little pin right up in here that holds this handle in place. You'll drive that pin out. It's in a tight spot, so you'll have to work with it a little bit. Got it started. I would like to start it with a larger pin punch and then finish it off with a smaller one. Drive it all the way out the bottom. Set that off to the side. Keeping that little notch lined up, you get a hold of your little cocking handle and remove it. This cocking handle is one of your two pivot points for your bolt to rotate on. Okay. Next step, you'll take a wrench and you'll see the barrel nut right up here. Now, these barrel nuts are Loctited in place with red Loctite from the factory, so they might be just a little tough. But take a wrench and loosen that barrel nut. That nut right there is what holds your barrel and everything in place onto the receiver. Maybe just a little tight. Brownell sells a wrench specifically for this. It probably would be a better choice for you. There we go. Once the barrel nut's off, you'll have this little clip right here that retains the rear part of the handguard. So we'll set those off to the side also. At this point, you can just grab the two halves here, the receiver and the barrel assembly, and just pull this right out. And there's your dust cover. It sits inside of a slot and rides back and forth up inside the receiver. So we can set this off to the side and start taking this piece apart. Grabbing your gas piston right here, pull back and turn it sideways and lift it off. Here's your barrel completely stripped and ready to be cleaned. Some things you want to keep in mind is this little tube right here. This is the dimensions for this tube is pretty critical to the operation of the gun. If you bend this or ding it up, your gun's not going to function properly. I'm not going to go into gunsmithing on this, but let's just say that if you ding this or bend it, you're going to have to go to a gun shop. So be careful taking your gun apart. On some of the older guns, you can remove the firing pin and the bolt and everything by itself. On this particular gun here, I'll tell you what, let's go ahead and get this other piece out. On the opposite side, there's another pin. I want to be able to rotate this bolt so I can show you. We'll pull that out right there with a little pick. That's your other little pivot point for your bolt. Remember, the other side was the cocking handle. Now, the reason I'm going to say I wouldn't go any further on this particular gun is because there's a pin right here that retains the firing pin in place. The factory has that one staked over and ground down pretty hard. So I'm really not going to recommend you remove that for cleaning. Some of the older guns, they don't have this, like the 740s and 742s. You can go ahead and drive that pin out. Remove your firing pin and firing pin spring, and then your bolt and everything else will slide right out the front. But with this one right here, just because it's newer, I really don't want to mess that little staking up. We're just going to leave it like it is. If your gun needs to be cleaned, do it like the trigger assembly. Just squirt you a little bit of solvent up in there, a pressurized can of solvent, clean that up, and blow some pressurized air through it to get all the dirt and the trash and the crud out. Something else you want to keep in mind too is, since this is stamped out of some fairly thin steel, you definitely don't want to bend either one of these right here. Definitely don't want to have a problem with that. But when you're going to reassemble the gun, if you'll notice, you have a little ejector button right here. When you go to put your pins back in, it's easy if you're not careful to rotate this bolt around the wrong way and try to put those back in and it's upside down. You'll notice then, hey, my brass is not coming out of the gun. Well, it's in the wrong place. So when you're putting those pins back in for your pivot points, rotate that around until the extractor is down in the right position. There we go. It's in the proper position. Then your two little slots where these little pins right here are going to ride in are going to be lined up properly. And that's your 7400 Carbine completely stripped down for a good cleaning. Thank you for watching this latest Gunworks video. Down East Gunworks is a full-service firearm repair service for all your long guns and handguns that includes a high-tech machine shop for tooling obsolete parts. Old or new, if you have a firearm that needs attention, Gunworks can probably fix it, solve it, coat it, and make it work. If you're living in down East Maine, come by the shop for a visit. We're located on Route 1 in Harrington. If you live elsewhere, you can reach us by going to the website www.downeastgunworks.com or calling the shop at area code 207-483-2175. If you found this video helpful or interesting, please leave me a comment and rate the video. If you subscribe to my YouTube channel, you'll always know when I've posted something new. And thanks again for watching.